Start off with dark brown from Anastasia for my eyebrows first. I'm gonna go in with this Morphe M225. Basically, it's just a very thin angled brush. Should be able to see that there. And so this is just really small and precise. So I'm gonna grab a little bit of product onto the brush, and I'm gonna start on the bottom of my brow. Just creating that line in like little strokes. And then now I'm doing the top and connecting the tail. Now that the top and the bottom is lined, and then I kind of filled in a little bit in the middle, I'm actually going to fill out more on the end of my brow. And I like to start with more product on the end, and then whenever I start to lose product on the brush, I start bringing it in so it's having a nice fade in the front. When I'm using a gel, you can kind of tell that it gets a little bit chunky. You just want to go in with a little spoolie and buff this out in the directions of your hair. I feel like doing this kind of makes it look a little bit more realistic, because then you can't see the harsh lines of where your product starts. Okay, so we finished that. It's not the best brow right now, but it's okay. We're gonna use concealer to really clean it up anyways. So now I'm gonna go into the other brow. So they don't really match, but that's okay. I'm not really worried about making sure that they match whenever you put the gel on, but more about cleaning them up and making them match then. I've noticed a lot of people mess up in the direction of their brush. You always want to use the shorter end here of the brush and go towards that direction. So you'd be moving that way, going like this, versus going in the direction of your longer end. I'm gonna move on to cleaning up the brows to make them match a little bit more. I just like using Tarte Shape Tape just because it's a little bit more matte, and I'm gonna use that as a base of my eyeshadow anyways. So I'm just gonna put a big solid line. I'm gonna use this concealer brush here, pick up some of this product, and try to do like slow strokes to clean up and make this just very straight. I don't want no jagged lines. And this is where it takes the most practice, honestly, to perfect your brows. And then I'm just gonna bring that onto my lids. Okay, so now you see a straight, smooth line underneath. Do that for the next eye. And then I'm just gonna grab a little bit and do the tops of my brows. This is just to make sure that your brows are very cleaned up. Oh, I feel like they match for the most part. I'm just gonna brush over them just a little bit more. Okay. Okay, we got brows on, and I'm just gonna go in with a beauty blender and kind of tap this concealer out just to make sure it's very, very smooth. Alright, I'm going to be using my little MAC palette for my eyeshadows. So let's see. It's got a lot of dust everywhere. Let's start with just like this soft brown color. Start with a soft brown. I'm going to go in with a blending brush. That's something that's just not very dense, something really fluffy. Just going to grab a little bit of that. So, I like to start off in the end because that's where I want most of my product. And with the tip of the brush, I like to kind of go into where my eye sinks, if you can see where I'm pressuring it. And then I like to go back and forth. Okay, so this motion, I'm really just going back and forth with it, making sure that it's very, very blended. I put it more towards my crease and then kind of went up with it, making sure that it goes from like heavier to even lighter and lighter and lighter as we go. But you can stop putting so much pressure as you get higher up. Only put pressure here and kind of go looser. But you just want to go real soft-handed with it, back and forth. You can do circular motions if you want, but you really just want to make sure that you don't see any lines. And I actually like to go a little bit further out with my color. So this is called a transition. I'm gonna hurry up and do the other eye real quick. I feel like this is like one of the first colors that you have to blend out so much to make sure that your whole look looks perfect. Okay, so we've got our transition shades there. I'm gonna go in with something, you can go in with something like that, but I even want to go with something a little bit more dense. And let's just pick up like a deeper brown. This is gonna be, I think, what is this? Brown script. And you can see where my crease is. So I'm only gonna add that in that area. I'm not gonna keep going up where I added that transition. So I'm focusing more of the product out here in the corner, but bringing it a little bit inside, but not too much. I really want to build it out here. So you see that there's like this harsh line. Actually go in with that brush and go a little bit softer to blend in the two. If you have trouble with it, you can always pick up like a shade that's kind of in between those two. And I think Saddle is what I'm going to use and blend those two so there's no harsh lines. So I'm just deepening up that dark brown. I'm going in with Espresso and just doing the outer corner there. I'm gonna go back in with that soft brown and saddle and just blend out this little transition a little bit more. Okay. Again with the other side. So I've got both eyes done. I'm now just wanting to use something a little bit flatter, like a little dense brush. It'd be like a concealer brush or like a packing brush, shader brush, whatever. And I'm gonna pick up something just picking up Honeylust. And this is just like a shimmery, like champagne-y color. And I'm actually gonna spray my brush with Fix Plus from MAC. And I'm gonna sweep this across my lid. I like to start here in the inner and then slowly make my way out as the product fades. And then I can go upward to also blend it this way. Gonna go in with that brush and kind of just blend where the shimmer and the matte shades mix together. Do it again for the next side. I'm just retouching some of this brown, making sure that it's really blended. Okay, so it's just a really simple everyday look for my eyes. I like to grab a little makeup wipe. I usually just wrap it around my finger. And because I want like a sharp line, I just use my fingernail and carve it out. But like if you want to do a blended eye, you could also make it circular, or you could just use concealer on a fluffy brush and kind of blend it out. But I'm just going to use my finger, kind of create that line. So I need to make sure that these are pretty even. So I'm just gonna spend the time to make sure that all of this is blended. Blend, blend, blend. Like, I mean, you can't really be like too blended. So I have my eyes done. I'm going to apply lashes. So these lashes are kind of one of my favorites now. It's from Natalie Ann Cosmetics. I think that these are Camilla, but they're just very, very cute. Have a lot of curl to them, so I mean, it fits perfectly for like my hooded eyes. I mean, it's still dramatic, but it's not anything like scary. But I'm actually gonna use this duo. This comes in the white and green box, but this is one of my favorite glues. It comes with like this little applicator. So, once you apply the glue on, you kind of want to do a little line of glue. It shows up blue at first. You want to set that aside. You can always do your other lash, and then once you're done lining this lash, your last lash that you just lined should be ready to put on. You always want to wait a little bit so it just gets a little tackier, because like if it's not tacky, it's just going to play like slip and slide all over your eyes. So I'll kind of show you how to clean this off. These have been worn before, so you want to hold your hand close to the band, and you want to grab your finger and you just pull apart the glue from the band, but you want to be gentle. Some of these bands are like fragile and will rip apart if you're too rough. Don't do that. So I've lined that one there. My first lash is ready. I'm gonna grab the tweezers on the middle of my lash, and I'm gonna go downward while I hold my mirror down here, and I'm gonna place the center of the lash onto the center of my eye. So you can kind of see it's not fitted, it's just a little loose. Just have the middle kind of stuck there. I want to grab the ends, the outer end, and place that on the outer end of my eye. You can move it back and forth to make sure that it's placed there. Then you want to grab the very front and place that as far in as you can, but not too far that it's poking your eye. From there, kind of like just make sure that the lash is on by pressing. And I'll kind of push it towards my eye. You can kind of pinch them together, but I've noticed if you do middle, end, and then front, it gets it on there the best. And then I'll push. Just make sure every bit is on there. Okay, so we have our first lash on. Second lash is ready. The middle to middle, end to end, beginning to beginning. And then press. So the beginning is lifting a little. I feel like the beginning is where you have to be really worried. You always want to size them to where your beginning isn't going to poke your eye or it'll lift, but just want to keep babying this, making sure that's in place for the glue to dry down. Or you also start all over, but everyone can do this. It just takes a little bit of patience. Okay, so I finished my eyes with my lashes. I'm gonna go ahead and finish my base. So like my all-time favorite primer is gonna be Smashbox Photo Finish. This one is the purple bottle. I've tried the other ones, but like this is the best, honestly, for me. It's really good for like oily skin, if you have uneven skin, maybe you have like some blackheads and pores that you want to cover. This kind of helps with that. So I'm gonna just blend this out all over my face. So I'm gonna use NC35 from MAC. This is the Prolong Original. And this is like one of my favorites, super, super dirty. But I'm gonna just squeeze this onto my beauty blender. I like to do like 2 to 3 pumps. And I'm gonna worry about placing it on the outer parts of my face, not so much the inner part. So I'm gonna use just a damp beauty blender and tap away. This foundation's like a matte foundation, so it's good for like normal to oily skin, and it's medium to full coverage, but I just build mine to get the full coverage. One more pump. I'm gonna finish out my forehead and a little bit down here. Okay, so I have pretty good full coverage layer, more on the outside of my face. I'm gonna go in with Tarte. I like to go probably like 2 shades below, just to be able to add some contrast. Okay, that like scared me, like I heard something. I'm like, what? Anyways, so I like to add it underneath the eyes, on the forehead, down the eyebrows, down my nose, and a little bit on the chin. So a lot of people like get this highlighting confused with the shimmer highlighting, and yeah, they're both called highlighting, but this is gonna be like just a concealer that is lighter, so then you add that contrast. And I just like to blend this out with a beauty blender. So I just try to get like as close as I can and kind of follow that line of my eyes that I created with the makeup remover wipe. And then also I have a problem area here, like don't forget that, try to cover that up. And then when it comes to my brows, like I just obviously put it on top here, missing my brows, but in the center I like to kind of start in the center and then go outward a little bit, covering my brows to where it has like a little bit of an ombre. And it's not hard to have an ombre by adding a little bit of concealer there, because I've already kind of did it with the gel. It just kind of helps more once you add the concealer there. But really I'm just moving like existing products there. I'm not just like putting I've had a few questions on baking, and so I'm gonna show you. This is Airspun, super cheap stuff. This is naturally neutral, and I prefer this color from Walmart. You find this in like the nail area, but I took off like the little top that it came with, the little like top with the holes, and I kind of prefer it like this. So I'm gonna go in with this MAC brush. Oh, MAC sponge, my bad. And it's flat, and I'm just gonna use that to kind of press underneath my eyes. And like, you can go crazy with this, like add as much as you need. Bridge of your nose, just kind of really anywhere that you put that concealer, or like if you know that you're a little oily like on your T-zone, add that there. If you feel like you're oily on the outside, you can add that there as well. Just kind of like customize it towards you. So it's a little crazy, got it everywhere. I don't personally love it too long on my face, and I feel like it's really up to you. You need to experiment like how long you want it baking, and baking is just like the time that you're letting it set there. So I like to do mine pretty fast, so I'm gonna just wipe that away. I feel like if you get really oily, like you can kind of let it set more. Okay, so I've got that going on. I'm gonna use a lighter Studio Fix powder. This is like my favorite powder, but this is an NC35. I'm gonna use this only in the center of my face. It kind of like butters everything over if anything starts to like separate or kind of get funky on me. So I like to just blend that out. And then on the outer part of my face, I like to use like a deeper color. This is NC41. This is a part of like getting that full coverage look. Okay, so I've set my face, put the powder that I needed. Now I'm going to finish my eyes by grabbing like this little pencil brush, and I'm gonna grab like a deep brown, and I'm gonna start just smoking out the under parts of my eye. I like to start on the outer corner and bringing it in. So it's denser here, and then it starts to fade. You can bring it all the way in, like very strong, but I prefer it to go strong to light. So, just blend, blend, blend. And you can go as little as you want, like you can go thin line or thick line, just whatever you feel like is easiest for you. I like to go thicker because it kind of brings my eyes out a little bit more. Okay, so like this, I like to just connect those lines because I don't want there to be like this huge break. From there, if you wanted to, you can kind of like clean it up with a concealer brush to make sure that that line's just really smooth. Or you can go in with a sponge. I kind of cut mine a little far up, but it's okay. Okay, so the eyes are done. It's just a very neutral, like simple look. And you see how like I cut this here? You could always bring this in to make it a little bit more everyday. I just prefer mine out like that. Can't forget about this. I'm gonna add some mascara on the bottom lashes. Okay, perfect. And I also like to highlight at this time, so I'm gonna use Nylon from MAC. It's just a really nice like yellowy highlighting shimmer. And I'm gonna use a little bit underneath the brow and quite a bit in the tear duct area. I like to add it with a dense brush, but then go in with my finger and kind of blend that out. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab a brush and kind of sweep away at anything that might have fallen. Bronzing time, this is my favorite. So there's a few different ones that I really like. I like to stay away from anything like super cool because I've used like super cool bronzers, but I've noticed that they just kind of get a little bit muddy here and we don't want to look like we just grabbed mud, and it like separates too, so you really have to look for the right contour, like bronzer for you. I like to go very warm with mine, so there's a few different ones that I really like, but I think I'm gonna use the Patrick Star from MAC. This one here. I like to use something, this one's like short and stubby, but it's not super dense, but it's not like super loose either, so kind of in between. And I'm just gonna grab a lot of product there. So I'm just gonna show you where you're gonna apply it. Here is my cheekbone, and you don't want to add it there. You're gonna add your blush there. You want to add it right underneath. So like kind of just gauge your cheek, or gauge the side of your face and kind of go towards the middle. So I like to start out here, and I'll just come in, sweeping motions. And then I kind of like to go circular up here. I like to bring it up the temples. And I like to contour my face. I feel like if you have a smaller forehead than me, you don't have to do it, but I always recommend it. I always say go in this little C shape. A lot of people like to go in the E shape. That's up to you. I don't like to put too much down here because I don't want it to look orange and kind of look different, but you can add a little bit there. But I like to build mine up out here and then bring it this way. And you can tell that I'm very like messy with mine. You don't have to be like sharp cut, but I'll teach you how to be sharp cut. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. And I use so much bronzer, but this bronzer like saves my face. So bringing up the temple, missing the middle of my forehead and bringing it around. And then also bringing it in the middle of my cheeks. focusing on the outside, blending towards the middle of my cheeks. I like to smile and it goes right underneath my cheek. You kind of see that line? Okay, from there you can kind of use leftover product, go around your jawline. Nose contour, you need this. So I'm just gonna use something like little small blending brush, grab the same color, and kind of customize my nose. And I'm going to use a little bit at the tip of my nose to make it look a little bit shorter and more upright. Sometimes I like this to be really pronounced, so then I'll just go back in with a sponge with leftover product and kind of bring that concealer back. I know some people like to clean up here too, so you can also put a little bit of powder. Some people also like to clean this up. I don't like it to be really sharp, so I'm actually going to leave it alone. I like to go in with that powder brush again and just kind of blend in this line. Of course, I don't want my contour to like come down here, like where it's not, where it doesn't belong, but I kind of want that line blended out. And I'll just kind of blend this so it's just really smooth, and then take away. Let's blend this together. Okay, so contouring's out of the way. I'm actually gonna add a little bit more. So this is, which one is this? This is from MAC, but I can't think of the name right now, but I'm gonna just add this just really slightly to deepen it. Okay. Blush time. So I'm gonna use a different brush, but this one's a little bit fluffy. I'm gonna grab Torrid by Nars. I like to smile and apply it on the ball of my cheek, but then I like to like pat it outward. Bring it back and forth. Ah, my lash. Oh, I thought I was gonna take it with it. Oh, good thing it didn't. So you can see that my contour is here. You're wanting to go above it, not on it. Like it's coming in layers, not topping it off of each other. Okay, so I have a little bit of blush on. If you want to, you feel like you've gone too crazy with it, you can blend it out in the center of your cheeks. Now time for highlights. A lot of people go crazy with their highlight, and I'll just show you like my favorite steps. You don't need too much. Like this is supposed to accent your face, not be your face. But I'm gonna spray my face with Fix Plus. It really just gives it something to stick to. And I mean, you can use like a fan brush, but I think I'm gonna use like this bigger, like this is almost too big to be like a blending brush for your eye, but it's like not super dense. It kind of looks like a big eye brush. So I'm just gonna use that with Anastasia Amrezy, and I'm going to put a little bit on the ball of my nose, then a little bit on the bridge here, not connecting, a little bit on my cheekbone. So you'll put your contour blush, and then on the high point of your cheek, your highlighter. Same thing on this side. A little bit on your cupid's bow. And if you want a little bit above the eyebrow, you can do that too. A little bit here to brighten this up. So I'm gonna go in with a brush, kind of blend this in. Hate seeing like chalkiness, like where it starts and ends, so just blend it in, like it'll be fine. If you take too much away, just put some more on top. So this is MAC Taupe. It's just a really good brown neutral, like everyday shade. some lip gloss on top of it. It's like a gold shimmer. Okay. So, got my lips done and everything. Just need to comb out my hair. Afterwards, I like to just spray myself down with a setting spray. And voila. I mean, this is really it. If you want to put liner on, you can. I feel like it kind of makes the look a little bit more dramatic. But let's see what else. Sometimes if my eyebrows get a little patchy, I like to go in with that pencil brush that I use underneath my eyes and just a brown and kind of just shade it in. Yeah, there we go. But I feel like this is it.